What if the one thing standing between you and your breakthrough is your own impatience? What if the delay isn't a denial, but a divine setup? God's timing is never wrong. He's never late, never early, but always right on time. The moment you trust Him completely, everything changes. Are you ready to step into His perfect plan? Life is shaped by the choices we make. Every single day, we are faced with decisions, some small and seemingly insignificant, others life-altering. But there is one decision that stands above all the rest, one choice that can completely change the course of our lives, the decision to trust in God's perfect timing. Too often, we are in a hurry. We want things to happen immediately, according to our own schedule. We set deadlines for our dreams, expecting them to come true exactly when we desire. And when they don't, we become frustrated, anxious, or even discouraged. We ask, why is this taking so long? Why hasn't God answered my prayer yet? But what we fail to realize is that God sees what we cannot see. He knows what we do not know. His perspective is eternal, and His timing is always right. There are moments when we feel like we're falling behind. We see others achieving their goals, moving forward, and receiving the blessings we have been praying for. The temptation to compare is strong. We start questioning whether God has forgotten us, whether we are doing something wrong, or whether we will ever reach the place we have dreamed of. But here is the truth. Just because something is delayed does not mean it is denied. God's timing is not our timing, and what seems like a delay is often divine preparation. Think about a farmer planting seeds in the ground. After sowing the seeds, he does not dig them up every day to check their progress. He understands that growth takes time. He trusts the process, knowing that the harvest will come in the right season. The same is true in our lives. When we make the decision to trust God's timing, we are choosing to believe that He is working behind the scenes, orchestrating everything for our good. We may not see the results immediately, but that doesn't mean nothing is happening. When we rush ahead of God, we often find ourselves in situations we weren't meant to be in. We force doors open that weren't meant for us. We enter relationships, jobs, or commitments that don't align with His best plan for our lives. And later, we realize that had we just waited, had we just trusted, things would have turned out so much better. But when we choose patience, when we surrender our timelines to God, we step into something far greater than what we could have arranged on our own. One decision can change everything. The moment you decide to let go of control and fully trust God's perfect plan, you will begin to experience a new level of peace. Worry and fear lose their grip. Anxiety fades because you know that God is in control. You realize that He has already mapped out your future, that He knows the exact moment when everything will come together. And when you trust His timing, you can rest, knowing that what He has prepared for you is greater than anything you could have imagined. When things don't happen as quickly as we expect, it's easy to feel like we're wasting time. We start questioning whether we're on the right path, wondering if we've missed an opportunity or if God has forgotten about us. But the truth is, waiting on God is never wasted time. It's preparation. It's a season of growth, refinement, and strengthening. What may feel like a delay is often God's way of molding us into the person we need to become for what lies ahead. In our fast-paced world, we are conditioned to expect immediate results. We want instant success, instant answers, instant breakthroughs. But God operates on a different timeline. He is not limited by deadlines or pressured by our impatience. He knows that rushing the process can lead to an outcome that is incomplete or unprepared. When God asks us to wait, it's not because He is withholding something from us. it's because He is working something within us. Think about the story of Joseph in the Bible. He had dreams of greatness, of one day leading and making a difference. But before that dream could come to pass, he had to go through years of waiting. He was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. It seemed like everything was working against him, but in reality, everything was working for him. Every trial, every setback, every moment of waiting was shaping him into the leader he was destined to be. If Joseph had stepped into his calling too soon, he would not have been prepared for the responsibility that came with it. The same applies to our lives. The waiting season is not a punishment. It's a process. It's the time when God builds our character, deepens our faith, and removes anything that would hinder us from stepping fully into our purpose. It's during the waiting that we learn patience, resilience, and trust. We learn to rely on God instead of our own understanding. We grow in ways we never would if everything happened instantly. Waiting is not inactivity. It's not sitting idly, hoping something will change. It's about being faithful in the small things, while trusting God with the bigger picture. It's about continuing to pray, to prepare, to develop skills, to stay ready for when the right opportunity comes. When a farmer plants a seed, he doesn't stand over the soil impatiently, demanding it to grow overnight. He knows that growth is happening beneath the surface, even though he can't see it. God's timing is intentional. If He is making you wait, it's because what He has for you is worth the wait. The doors He is opening are better than anything you could force open yourself. The relationships, the opportunities, the breakthroughs, they are being perfectly aligned for you. So instead of seeing waiting as wasted time, see it as a divine setup. Trust that while you wait, God is working. When the time is right, everything will come together in ways you never expected. Fear is one of the biggest obstacles to trusting God's timing. It creeps in when things don't go as planned, when prayers seem unanswered, when life takes unexpected turns. Fear whispers, what if nothing changes? What if you're wasting your time? What if you never get what you've been hoping for? It fills our minds with doubt, making us question whether God is really working on our behalf. But faith speaks a different language. Faith says God is in control. He sees the whole picture. He is working all things together for my good, even when I don't understand. Every person who has ever walked in faith has faced moments of fear. It's natural to feel uncertain when we don't have all the answers. But faith is not the absence of fear. It's the decision to trust God in the middle of uncertainty. It's choosing to believe that even when things seem to be falling apart, God is actually putting them together in a way we can't yet see. Fear wants to paralyze us, to make us settle for less than God's best. But when we choose faith over fear, we step into a life of peace, purpose, and divine alignment. There are countless stories in the Bible of people who had to overcome fear to trust in God's timing. Think of Abraham, who was promised that he would be the father of many nations. Yet years went by with no child. He could have given in to fear, believing that God had forgotten His promise. Instead, he chose to trust, and in the right time, God fulfilled His word. What seemed impossible became a reality, because Abraham had faith that God's timing was perfect. Then there was Peter, who saw Jesus walking on water. He stepped out of the boat, walking by faith, but the moment he focused on the wind and waves, fear took over. He began to sink. The lesson is clear. When we fix our eyes on our problems, fear takes hold. But when we keep our eyes on God, faith keeps us standing. In our own lives, we face moments when things don't happen as quickly as we want. We worry about the future, about finances, about relationships, about our purpose. But worrying doesn't change anything. It only drains us. Faith, on the other hand, opens the door for miracles. It allows us to rest in God's promises, knowing that He has never failed and never will. Trusting God's timing requires surrender. It means letting go of our own expectations and believing that God's plan is better. It means reminding ourselves daily that fear is a liar, but God is faithful. Every delay, every closed door, every moment of waiting is an opportunity to strengthen our faith. When we choose faith over fear, we stop striving and start trusting. We let go of the need to control and allow God to lead. And in His perfect time, everything falls into place exactly as it should. There is a special kind of peace that comes when we truly trust in God's timing. When we stop trying to force things to happen and instead surrender to His plan, we begin to see His blessings unfold in ways we never imagined. The problem is, we often want things to happen on our schedule. We pray for a breakthrough and expect it immediately. We work hard and assume success should follow instantly. But God doesn't operate on human timelines. He knows when the right moment has arrived, and when He moves, no one can stop what He has planned. Looking back, many of us can see moments where we wanted something so badly, but it didn't happen. At the time, it felt like a disappointment. Maybe it was a job that didn't work out, a relationship that fell apart, or an opportunity that slipped away. But later we realized that if we had gotten what we wanted at that moment, it wouldn't have been right for us. What we thought was rejection was actually God's redirection. What we saw as a setback was really His way of positioning us for something greater. When we trust in God's timing, we begin to understand that every delay has a purpose. The waiting is not just about patience, it's about preparation. Sometimes we aren't ready for what we are asking for. God knows that if we receive certain blessings too soon, we may not handle them well. He is more interested in our long-term success and spiritual growth than in giving us quick fixes. He sees the full picture, while we only see a small part. Think about the story of David. He was anointed as king while he was still a young shepherd boy, but he didn't step into that role immediately. Instead, he spent years in the wilderness, facing trials, running for his life, and learning valuable lessons. If David had become king the moment he was anointed, he wouldn't have been prepared for the responsibility. God used the waiting period to shape him into the leader he was meant to be. And when the right time came, he stepped into his destiny with wisdom, strength, and a heart after God. In our own lives, the same principle applies. When the blessing finally comes, when the doors open, when the prayers are answered, we will understand why we had to wait. We will see how God was aligning things behind the scenes. We will realize that His plan was far greater than our own. And the best part is, when God gives a blessing, it is complete. There is no stress, no regret, no doubt, just the joy of knowing that it happened exactly as it was meant to. The waiting season may be difficult, but the blessing of God's timing is worth it. When He moves, things happen effortlessly. What once felt impossible suddenly becomes reality. Everything that didn't make sense before now falls into place. And in that moment, we will know with certainty that God's timing is always perfect. Right now, you have a choice to make. You can continue living with stress, anxiety, and frustration, trying to force things to happen on your own timeline, or you can choose to trust God completely. This one decision, to surrender to His perfect timing, can change everything. It can bring peace in the middle of uncertainty, joy in the waiting, and confidence that no matter what happens, you are exactly where you need to be. It's not always easy to let go. Our human nature wants control. We want to know when, where, and how things will work out. But true faith means releasing that control and saying, God, I trust you, even when I don't understand. It means believing that He is working behind the scenes, even when there is no visible progress. It means holding on to His promises, even when doubts creep in. Think about the weight that will be lifted when you stop worrying about things that are out of your control. The moment you choose to trust God's timing, you step into a life of freedom. No more sleepless nights over things you can't change. No more comparing your journey to others, wondering why they seem to be ahead. No more rushing into decisions out of fear or impatience. Instead, you walk in peace, knowing that what is meant for you will come in the right season. There is power in surrender. Surrendering doesn't mean giving up. It means giving in to God's greater plan. It means believing that His ways are higher than ours, that His thoughts are beyond what we can comprehend. It means accepting that sometimes the answer is not yet, because something better is coming. When you look at your life years from now, you will see moments where things didn't go as planned, and you will realize why. You will see how every closed door led to something better. You will recognize that every delay was actually protection. You will understand that God was never withholding anything from you. He was preparing you. And when you trust in His timing, you will find yourself exactly where you were always meant to be. If you are waiting for something right now, don't lose heart. Don't let frustration or impatience steal your joy. Keep praying, keep believing, and keep trusting. Know that at the right time, in the right way, everything will come together. Your dreams, your purpose, your breakthrough, it's all in God's hands. And when He moves, nothing can stop what He has prepared for you. So today, make the decision. Choose trust over worry. Choose faith over fear. Choose to believe that God's plan for your life is greater than anything you could ever imagine. Say it out loud. God, I trust you. I trust your timing. I trust your plan. When you make that choice, everything changes. Peace replaces anxiety. Hope rises. And you step into the life that God has been preparing for you all along.